The second popular choice by the black camp is to play bishop to f5. And against this, I am going to propose a new move which is not even in the top white choices, and that is knight to h4, attacking this bishop immediately. Well, black has few options, and amongst them, bishop to g6 is by far the most popular choice. However, let's check out other moves. e6, bad choice, as we can take on f5, and after e takes f5, white should be delighted because black get a set of double pawn, something in order to achieve white has to give up the bishop pair, but here it comes a free of cost. So in a long run, this position always serves better for the white. What about bishop to d7 here? Well, this time around we can simply continue with d4, and after e6 and knight to f3, we enter into the French advanced variation. And as I have highlighted over here, white has a very simple plan with the space in the center. And the big question is, if black really want to play French, then why he choose the Caro-Kann? So that means bishop to g6 more or less you can expect from most of your games. And after this, we immediately take the bishop, which at first sight looks like opening up the black rook. But the matter of fact is, after white's next reply, that is e6. Well, guess what? Yup, we sets up yet another tricky platform for the black. First thing first, the idea is very simple. We want to take on f7 and give black some horrible pawn structure on the king side. And accordingly, black has tried three choices. Number one, if we continue with the most popular choice, f captures e6. I am afraid this is very bad, as this is playing right into the white's hand. White has a lethal move here, namely queen to g4, which shatters all black's hope. We have a double attack, and in the database there are some games continue with knight to f6, which is a big time inaccuracy, as after queen takes g6 and king to d7, black king is all around the place. Whereupon after d4, if you look at the results, they are tremendous for the white. So nope, that's not the right idea. Black should defend both of this pawn with king to f7. And white would love to play here bishop to d3, except that rook to h6 spoiling the party. So that gives you hint for the white's next move. Yup, d4, stopping rook to h6, and now indeed we are threatening bishop to d3. Well, my recent game against 2300 gives you a very good idea how dangerous this position is for the black. My opponent continued with knight to f6, attacking my queen. And since white still has a threat of bishop to d3, he played queen to d6, trying to exchange the queen. Well, this looked good at first sight, except one problem, that after bishop to f4, black get a completely disgusting position. The threat is very simple. In the next move, we want to play bishop to d3. And if you think that this queen to b4 check solves all black issues, well, think twice, as after knight to d2, there are three choices for the black, all miserably fails. First, queen captures b2 is a big time blunder here, guys, as white has this simple sequence: rook to b1, queen to d4, and now sting in the tail, bishop takes b8, which wins the piece, and in fact white onslaught on the black king remain as it is. So nope, queen captures b2 is not possible here. What about if I save my knight? Well, then you fall for bishop to d3 and there is no way now black can save this pawn. So that is also not a good choice. And last but not least, black has tried here knight to h5. But unfortunately this fails due to this wonderful move, queen to f3. So now white has a threat of bishop to d6, nabbing the black queen. So black king has to move out of it. But then we have this simple sequence. Bishop captures g8, rook captures g8, queen to e3, and after queen to d6. Time and time again, pay attention to this pattern, as when white managed to put the knight on f3, it has a deadly consequences, as this knight can goes to either of these juicy squares, where the fact remain on the table is this dark square bishop is a complete dead wood in the black camp. The second move I want to consider is f6. And against this, more or less same story. We play queen to g4, attacking on g6. Black has to play g5. And now, very nice move by white, f4. Well, in one of my bullet game, my opponent continued with knight to h6, where queen to h5 finished the game on the spot. So those sort of blunder can happen in quick games. There are two popular choices here, and amongst them, the first one, rook to h4, looks good, but in fact it's a mistake, as after queen to f5, we are threatening a checkmate. And after the base sequence, that is queen to d6, giving the space to the black king, we deliver this check, and when the king moves, we have this nasty reply, queen to f7, where queen is saying hello to this bishop and knight, and there is nobody to save these poor fellows. So that sort of disaster happened when black plays the move rook to h4. Probably the most accurate response here is queen to d6, giving up the pawn, but white will be more than happy, as after pawn takes g5, pawn takes g5, we can simply respond with d4, where we cover this important check, and our next target is munch this g5 pawn with a devastating effect. In fact, there is a FIDE game between two 2200 plus rated players where black choose the move knight to f6, and his idea is to move the queen away from the a6 pawn, which wisely enough white avoided. And after this, I think black is in a huge trouble. Number one, if we play knight to a6, white can simply chop it off. Number two, we have a threat of queen to g6, and we can also take on g5, and considering all this aspect, black find nothing better than going for the counterplay with rook captures h2. But what he missed is this very nice tactic. Can you see it? Congratulations if you find the move bishop to f4, creating a disconnection between queen and rook, and it is so effective that even after queen to b4 check, we don't need to play bishop to d2, but rather a very strong move knight to d2, which at first sight looks impossible, right? Because now black can take your rook, and on top of everything, black has some severe threats going on. So what is white up to? Fasten up your seatbelt, guys, as you are going to witness one of the most surprising moves in this line, and that is bishop to c7. Wow, simply wow. That looks very special, right? The idea is now we have shut down all the doors for the black king, white has a simple threat, queen to g6, a checkmate. But hang on, you might say, rook to h6 prevent every single of it, right? Well, guess what? Nope. As after bishop to d3, indeed, white is delivering the checkmate. And a big thanks to this wonderful dark square bishop, as because of his presence, this is only possible from this position. Last but not least, what to do against the move f5. Okay, since we don't have queen to g4, we should continue with d4. And it doesn't matter however black plays, so knight to f6 and queen to d6 are some of the most popular choices. But against each of them, our response will be very consistent. So for example, if your opponent continue with knight to f6, then we can respond with g3. And the same story goes if he played the move queen to d6, which is the accurate choice. We need to protect our pawn, so queen to e2, and after knight to f6. Do you remember? Yup, this small little cute move, g3, which can create wonders, as we have a threat of bishop to f4 and kicking the queen out of that important pawn. In fact, now we are going to follow a blitz game of a 2600 plus rated player, where black continue with some obvious choices. Knight to a6, planning to castle on the queen side. White reveal his nasty trump, bishop to f4. And please note that if black continue with queen to d8, then we have a very simple idea, that is knight to d2, knight to f3, and then this knight will land on either of this juicy square, where with the castle on queen side, this position is very superior for the white. So in the game, and in fact as per the database, all the games continue with queen to b4 check, which turn out as a big mistake, as after c3 attacking the queen, queen to b6, white plays a very nice move, knight to d2, whereupon in a long run black is going to feel the heat because of white tremendous squeeze on the black king side. So as happened in many games, black get fed up with the white attack and he tried to create his own counter with queen captures b2. But exactly here, white reveal his nasty attacking scheme, starting with rook to b1, queen captures c3, rook captures b7, attacking the knight, so black knight has to come forward. And although knight to c2 looks very scary, white indeed played the best reply, queen to e5, and after this, what else? Black get a completely losing position. Well, he tried his best with knight check, and after king to d1, he take on d4, dreaming of checkmating white king. But white finished the black elegantly from here with this nice queen sacrifice, where the matter of fact is, it is black king who get busted at the opening stage.